Hello, dear viewer. This is Dr. Cecil H.H. Mills, known author. Today I will be playing for you a recording of Ghost Hunters Adventure Club and the Secret of the Grand Chateau, my latest young adult mystery novel. This will be the first chapter of Ghost Hunters Adventure Club, and we are doing this to celebrate that the audiobook narrated by yours truly, Dr. Cecil H.H. Mills, is available now on Audible. That's right. Go to Amazon and download this audiobook or whatever you do to your device or personal computer or MacBook. Whatever it is you listen to things on, download it and listen now. Okay, here is a preview, once again narrated by yours truly.
Once there was a man, and from his mind issued forth a story of heroism, a story of adventure, and above all else, a story of truth. This song is not about that story, since no publisher would pay him to write it. No, this is about the book he could sell. A young adult mystery novel, which is fine, I guess. Luckily, this man, this handsome and intelligent man, demanded a theme song for the book in his contract. And he got it.
Ghost Hunters Adventure Club and the secret of the Grand Chateau. Find the clues and solve the case, let's go. Ghost Hunters Adventure Club and the secret of the Grand Chateau. Dr. Cecil H.H. Mills has hit a new low.
Okay, alright, fine. I'll do the rap, okay? I'll do the rap.
I know what Mom said! Here I am, Dr. Cecil's nephew. Don't know what I'm gonna rap about. His book, that's my best clue. I heard this book is about 2 kids solving mysteries. Oh, I see. I got handed a note saying it's actually about 3. The Grand Chateau is the place to go if you want to know what the setting of the book is, I guess. I don't know. I just read the title on the sheet below. Don't ask me things about the book, cause it feeds my uncle's ego. Okay, I'm done. Is my mother happy now? I'm taking off the headphones and walking away.
Ghost Hunters Adventure Club and the secret of the Grand Chateau. Find the clues and solve the case, let's go. Ghost Hunters Adventure Club and the secret of the Grand Chateau. Dr. Cecil H.H. Mills has hit a new low.
Introduction. People seem to place a lot of importance on first sentences in books, or in this case an audiobook, so I'll put this right here so we can avoid that altogether. Hello, dear listener. It's your old friend, Dr. Cecil H.H. Mills, celebrated wordsmith and oftentimes controversial figurehead in the literary world. You're no doubt browsing through this novel in the young adult section of your bookstore or in your audiobook app, so you may not have heard of my work before. You see, I'm used to having my books placed in the adult fiction section. While I may not have done much or any research on what exactly constitutes a young adult reader, I assume that since my old books were placed above a normal human adult's shoulder height, they must have been unreachable to you, which is fine. My adult books are very good books, okay? So good that I was inevitably unrestricted by form or marketability. I received carte blanche to let fire flow from my fingers and beauty seep from my pores. It was glorious, the work I could do in my 1,000-page tomes. The page was my medium and truth was my ink. Then some things happened that I don't really want to talk about, and gambling debts being what they are, I found myself taking whatever work the publishers would buy from me. So here I am, writing a mystery book for adolescent readers. And not a nuanced examination of humanity's descent into the comforting, venomous clutches of technology as the myth of the American dream fades away. I didn't even want to write that anyway. No siree. Okay, kid. Go take this book up to the cashier or check out on your online store or whatever and buy it so that we can get started. I'll wait. Are we good? Did you pay for this? Great. Now, before we begin the story of the Ghost Hunters Adventure Club, I think it's important that something be said about the Watts brothers, the co-founders of said club. Not about their past, mind you, which remains relatively unimportant and partially expunged from police records thanks to their both recently turning 18. I wish instead to talk about them now, in the present, in the hopes that it might give you a hint as to why they do what they do. Perhaps the best way to achieve that is to paint a portrait of them in a specific moment at a specific time. Currently, J.J. and Valentine Watts are puttering up a frigid mountain road as fast as their decades-old motorcycle beneath them will allow. J.J., the eldest by a short amount of time, is at the handlebars and is just barely keeping them from careening into a snowbank. He has a scar across the bridge of his nose. He doesn't like to talk about how he got it. Valentine, glasses fogged, clings for dear life behind him while he tracks the minute-by-minute loss of feeling in his fingers. He had full use of them once. For most of his life, actually. Riding up a winding road into increasingly inclement conditions is an abstract, rough existence that is a statistical outlier to his usual, more terrestrial, rough existence. The motorcycle will be ignored after the first couple minutes of the story. However, it's worth noting that it was received as remuneration following a game of dice in a short fist fight. Valentine shouts something that J.J. either can't hear or chooses not to. Probably something about his fingers. Neither are equipped for a ride up to higher altitude, wearing matching sweaters for a reason that will be deduced later by someone smarter than them. They're almost to where they are going. Now I'll stop here as I feel I might be outstaying my welcome, dear listener. It's probably a good primer for these brothers, which, and I can't believe I almost forgot to say this, but it's a little dubious as to whether or not they're actually brothers in the first place. But that will be definitively figured out some other time. With all that being said, it's time to begin the tale of the Watts boys and their crime-solving organization, the Ghost Hunters Adventure Club. Now allow your humble narrator to see if he can shut his trap for a minute, switch elegantly to past tense, and let the brothers do the talking. Ghost Hunters Adventure Club and the Secret of the Grand Chateau, written by Dr. Cecil H.H. Mills, narrated by Dr. Cecil H.H. Mills. Act 1, Chapter 1, An Explosive Beginning. J.J. and Valentine Watts dismounted their motorcycle. Remembering that they had traded the kickstand for gas at the base of the mountain, J.J. laid it gingerly on the snowy pavement near a row of sports cars that might have been driven up in better weather. Before them stood the Grand Chateau, a snowy escape overlooking the cascading mountains, a short drive away from Harborville, the boys' hometown. A warm glow was emanating from its windows. Valentine immediately tucked his hands into the armpits of his powder blue sweater. Perhaps he'd keep his fingers after all. Said Valentine.
What is it?
Asked J.J., shaking the frost off of his red sweater.
Well, for a place called the Grand Chateau, don't you think it's kind of regular-sized? Come on, we'll be late,
said J.J.
If someone pays us to solve the mystery of the regular-sized chateau, then we'll go and solve the mystery of the regular-sized chateau. Do you think this guy's serious about the ghosts?
Asked Valentine.
Does it make a difference? To me, yeah.
J.J. warmed up his hands by rubbing them and cupping them over his mouth. He slung his leather satchel around his shoulder.
He's serious enough to pay us, and that's all that matters to me.
Valentine looked up at the sky, noting the approach of dark and billowing clouds.
Looks ominous,
he said. They did their secret handshake and walked toward the chateau. After snaking their way through some bellhops and luggage carriers, the two entered the relative warmth of the Grand Chateau's lobby. Inside, they found a wide, regal reception room decorated wall to wall with mounted game animal heads, hunting knickknacks, and comfy couches. There was a painting there at the far end of the room, a gargantuan one of a man cradling an ornate hunting rifle, a bested black bear lying lifeless at his feet. Chateau patrons milled around, some lounging and some returning from their ski trips down the mountain. It was barely noon, and the bartender was already handing out complimentary glasses of wine as she laughed with the hotel patrons. She had short red hair and an apparently affable demeanor, as far as either of them could tell from this far away. The boys paused for a moment to stop shivering, then located the front desk and stood patiently behind an older man with a ponytail and sunglasses, wearing nothing but a bath towel. "Listen," said the man to the clerk. "I'm not happy that I'm currently in a hotel lobby in a towel, and that up until a few seconds ago I didn't even have a towel. But sometimes a man takes his breakfast tray out of his bedroom without thinking too far into the future, and sometimes he forgets to bring his hotel key." The clerk had her nose buried in a novel, appearing close in age to the brothers and wearing a pair of glasses that could make Valentine jealous. She gave nods and mm-hms at regular intervals to create the illusion of sympathy. "If I could just get a new..." Without looking up, the woman handed the man a new key. He marched off in a huff, snagging a glass of complimentary wine for the trip upstairs. JJ sidled up to the counter and produced a business card. This was his time to shine.
How do you do?
He said.
My name is J.J. Watts, and the less handsome gentleman behind me is my brother and close confidant, Valentine Watts. Together we make up the Ghost Hunters Adventure Club, Harborville's foremost crime-fighting and mystery-solving duo.
JJ paused for a reaction. The young woman gave him and Valentine a cursory glance before returning to her book. He retracted the business card, peering over the desk to better see the woman engrossed in her novel. He coughed politely, trying to get her attention.
What are you reading? No, you're not,
replied the young woman.
Excuse me? Brothers. You're not brothers.
Taken aback, JJ furrowed his brow.
Now, wait a minute. Look,
said the woman, closing her book and adjusting her glasses.
You have black hair and brown eyes, and your brother has blonde hair and blue eyes. It's rare, but not impossible. Then I notice that you have detached earlobes while your brother doesn't. Another genetic dissimilarity. If you want to play the Punnett Square game to even the odds, I could see if either of you can roll your tongue. Hey, slow down,
said JJ.
There's plenty of different ways we could be brothers. We might be adopted siblings for all you know. Right, see? That's what I was looking for. Instead of maintaining that you were brothers, you brought up more hypotheticals. You've been thinking about what someone would say if they accused you of not being brothers.
She leaned forward, a curt smile appearing on her lips.
That, combined with the matching sweaters, which I'll add your friend forgot to take the price tag off of.
Valentine ripped off the tag dangling from his wrist and stuck it in his back pocket. Embarrassed.
Leads me to deduce that you're not actually brothers, and you're probably just doing this for the bit. Or the brand. Seems like you guys are trying to make money.
JJ stood there in shocked silence.
And the book is Bones of Desire by Wallace P. Gross,
said the woman as she leaned back and began reading again.
Real page-turner of a sleuth story.
JJ's senses returned to him as he pointed a finger at the woman.
Now listen here, you little... Whoa! Let me apologize for my dear brother,
said Valentine, jumping in between the two.
He was raised by wild animals and failed out of finishing school because he started a fight club. Did you say you were reading Wallace P. Gross? Mm-hmm. He's who we're here to see. Oh, yeah?
said the woman.
He writes out of the chateau. His stuff's pretty good, too, if a little on the nose.
JJ folded his arms and scoffed.
I'm sure he's a fine author, but he's no Dr. Cecil H.H. Mills. Now there's a letter pusher.
Now I should say right now that the publishers were contractually obligated to keep this nod to the author, me, in this book. Let's continue.
Gentlemen,
said a voice from behind them. The brothers turned around to see an older woman in a sharp business suit and a sour look. Her lapel was embroidered with the logo of the establishment. She extended her manicured hand in greeting.
Madame Fournier, hotelier of the Grande Chateau, at your service. It's sort of regular size, isn't it?
Remarked Valentine.
JJ
JJ accepted the woman's hand.
Please excuse my brother's manners, ma'am. He was a transitory circus performer during his formative years.
J.J. reproduced the business card.
J.J. Watts, the better half of the Watts brothers and lead investigator of the Ghost Hunters Adventure Club. Charmed to make your acquaintance. I'm glad you two were able to make it in before the blizzard struck,
She said, accepting and regarding the card with a manner that seemed to give them more credit than they deserved.
If you were out there for another couple minutes, you surely would have frozen to death. Danger is a core tenet of the Ghost Hunters Adventure Club lifestyle,
said J.J.
As is neglecting to check the weather report before making a long-distance trip,
added Valentine.
Now, pardon my manners,
said Madame Fournier.
but I couldn't help but overhear you are looking for a Mr. Wallace P. Gross. Yes,
said Valentine.
He asked us to come up here to discuss business. Very well, then. Let me show you to his study.
Madame Fournier led the boys up the grand staircase at the end of the lobby and down the long hallway. J.J. tried to sneak in one last hateful glare at the young woman at the front desk, but her nose was still buried in her book.
Mr. Gross has been a guest of ours for a long while,
Madame Fournier told them.
He always comes up to the chateau to work on his mystery novels, which you might know have garnered him worldwide acclaim. He always comes up here?
Asked J.J.
Yes, he's a bit of a superstitious type. He wrote his first novel here decades ago and refuses to work anywhere else. He's been at the latest manuscript for the past 3 years.
The hotelier stopped at a large set of wooden doors and turned to the boys.
I must warn you, however, that Mr. Gross has gotten on in his years and has become a little eccentric. How so?
Asked Valentine.
Well, to start, he just called up 2 ghost hunters to meet him at a hotel in the mountains. Ghost hunters and super sleuths,
J.J. cut in.
We'll do landscaping too, if there's a paycheck in it. Right. Well, just be warned.
The double doors swung open with an audible creak, and in the center of the room was an old man with frazzled gray hair that stood on end. He stood there, looking distinguished with a tweed vest and knotted bow tie. "The Ghost Hunters Adventure Club," he exclaimed. "Please, please, come in." Madame Fournier took her leave as J.J. and Valentine entered the study, their senses flooding with the smell of rolled tobacco and old hardcovers. The room was lined with bookshelves and enormous arched windows overlooking the snowscape outside. Wallace P. Gross walked in a circle around the room, gesticulating with an artistic flourish. "J.J. and Valentine Watts, Harborville's finest brother detectives and private investigators. No job too small or too great."
You've read our website, I see,
said J.J. "I have. And you two are the brightest minds that Harborville has to offer, yes?"
Either that or the most search engine optimized,
said Valentine. "I'm sorry, what?" J.J. coughed.
He meant to say that we're unparalleled in our brightness. We're brightness all-stars, the brightest. Too bright, some might argue.
Wallace rubbed his chin, thinking. Right. You'll have to do, then. In that case, I must give you the tour." Wallace P. Gross grabbed his coat and started forward. The boys followed behind dutifully, and the 3 stepped out into the hall. "First on the docket," Wallace began, "I'd like to introduce you two to the Grand Chateau. It's a place that I've called home for the past 3 years now, and a place I've called home many times throughout my life and career. Built over a century ago, this sanctuary was initially meant for Harborville's wealthy elite and urban socialites to unwind from their busy city lives and indulge in their opium-fueled Kabbalistic indulgences." J.J. and Valentine shared a glance. They had non-opium-fueled Kabbalistic indulgences too, although that's less important. The trio rounded a corner and walked into a room filled floor to ceiling with books. Gigantic tomes lay stacked on tables throughout, and from the many stained glass windows the boys could see snow coming down at a steadier and steadier rate. "The library," Wallace said. "That starts with an L, mind you." The boys, well, maybe not smart enough to understand many things, were at least smart enough to know that the word library started with the letter L.
They exchanged a confused look. Wallace went on. Home to a variety of first editions, encyclopediae, religious texts, and so forth. When not in my study, it is here that I do all of my research for my pantheon of best-selling and award-winning mystery novels.
It looks very bookly.
JJ commented. Astute observation. Please, there's more to see. Wallace ushered the boys down the stairs and out through the backside of the chateau. They walked out into what must have been a vast and beautiful garden, were it not covered in snow. JJ and Valentine immediately began shivering in their store-bought non-woolen sweaters. Wallace didn't appear to mind the cold. Valentine could see the mountain drop off into a sheer cliff just beyond a winter-worn forest, and a green storage shed stood in the distance. Clearing snow in front of its doorway was whom he presumed to be the groundskeeper. Even from this distance, he could tell that this man stood a head taller than the average man. The courtyard, he said. That starts with the letter C. Are you remembering all of this?
It's really cold out here,
said Valentine, his teeth beginning to chatter. A smile spread across Wallace P. Gross's face. Perfect. The boys followed Wallace down a snowy path. An old woman in a fur coat and black scarf sat on a bench next to a stone statue of an angel. She didn't seem to mind the cold either. Looking up at them, her face turned from a scowl to a deeper, more pronounced scowl.
If it isn't my intellectually impotent ex-husband, the woman said.
Don't look her in the eyes, boys, Wallace warned, the smile sliding from his face. You'll turn to stone. JJ and Valentine glanced at Wallace, trying to assess the validity of his statement. JJ, Valentine, I'd like to introduce you to my ex-wife and perennial thorn in my side, Marcella P. Gross.
Wait, interrupted Valentine.
You have the same middle initial?
I took it the same way I took half of this man's fortune in the divorce, snapped Marcella.
Valentine gulped. Your sense of humor remains sharp, said Wallace. Whose soul did you sell for it?
What?
Said JJ, trying to defuse the situation.
What, are you doing out here in the snow, ma'am? It's getting pretty cold out here.
She wanted to be in a place where her heart felt warm, no doubt.
What are you doing out here, Wallace? Finally looking for a spot to keel over and die?
I'll die when I'm good and ready, you frigid ice queen. Come on, boys. Wallace marched toward the chateau.
It was nice to meet you, ma'am,
said Valentine.
Get lost, Jack!
They entered again through the backside of the chateau, where Wallace led them down another hallway.
I hope this isn't being too forward, sir,
JJ said.
But what's your ex-wife doing here at the chateau?
You're asking questions that aren't important right now, Mr. Gross replied. He paused for a moment, as if he were either lost in thought or his old man programming had encountered a bug. That's funny. She was sitting on the bench where we first met. He shook his head and pressed forward. Nearly there. Come along. They arrived at a wide room with a vaulted ceiling. A huge chandelier hung above an intricately woven carpet. Chairs and tables, presumably used for special occasions, were stacked in a corner and also placed haphazardly throughout the room. The Grand Ballroom, or Ballroom for short, starts with the letter B. It's beautiful, isn't it?
Lovely,
said JJ out of politeness. I didn't want to show it for any other reason than I thought it was nice. Great for dancing. Maybe you two ought to cut a rug in here on your free time.
We will put that on the docket,
said JJ. Wallace P. Gross nodded vigorously, his wire-like hair swaying back and forth. Nearly finished with the tour, gents. This way. In the hallway, JJ and Valentine hung back, just out of earshot of the author.
Are you getting kind of a not all there vibe from Wallace?
Whispered Valentine.
Was it the casual socialite Kabbalistic ritual dialogue or the ping-pong match of death threats between him and Marcella that made you think that?
JJ sighed.
Look, I'm not personally enamored by the situation at hand either, and I know what you're about to say.
This isn't right,
said Val. See? That. I knew you were going to say that,
JJ replied.
Look, finances being what they are, if we want to eat tonight, we're going to have to at least listen to the guy.
Valentine shook his head. I don't like that.
I know you don't, but if you want to make it in the detective business, you're going to have to take a few bum cases.
They followed the old man back to the chateau lobby and up the stairs to Wallace's study. He closed the door behind them with another squeak from the door's hinges and stood in the center of the room. Final stop of the tour, he said. Study. Starts with an S. The boys stood there waiting for Wallace to say something more. After a moment of wordless smiling, J.J. broke the silence.
So, how would you like us to help, Mr. Gross?
Ah, yes, said Wallace, snapping back to attention. As you boys know, I needed to employ Harborville's finest detectives for a reason. You see, he said, his fingers beginning to tremble, I'm being haunted.
Right, ghosts,
said J.J.
My brother and I are well versed in ghost detection and expulsion. However, do keep in mind that we charge extra for poltergeists and ghosts in corporeal form. You pay out of pocket if we have to bring in either an old priest or a young priest.
Take more pride in listening rather than speaking, young man. Wallace's face grew grim. It might do you some good down the line. The boys looked at each other, confused. The author paced around the room, peering out of his window into what had turned into a threatening blizzard outside. I've known for some time now that a ghost has been watching me, watching over my latest work. For the past 3 years, I've been consumed by this obsession, this specter, unable to finish my manuscript. He returned to the center of the room and addressed the boys directly. He heaved a very heavy sigh. Now I fear my time is short, for I've put together everything and I can see clearly. There are a great many more mysteries to the Grand Chateau than you'd initially believe. And just as he finished his sentence, Wallace P. Gross's head exploded. Well, wasn't that entertaining? Enthralling, really. Some of the best writing I've personally ever heard. Now, I must go, but we will transition into my disgusting nephew, Arin, and he will read some more chapters of my book, Ghost Hunters Adventure Club and the Secret of the Grand Chateau, and thoroughly butcher it, I'm sure. He will be reading this live, so you can chat with him, communicate via internet services. I don't know. He's the one who knows this, not me. I just know how to play recordings. So, without further ado, I am introducing my nephew, Arin Hansen, of the GameGrumps.
Thanks, Uncle Cecil. Appreciate it. Hello. I am Arin of apparently the GameGrumps. He could at least get it right. Anyway, as you can see, we're here to promote my uncle's book, Ghost Hunters Adventure Club and the Secret of the Grand Chateau. This is the audio. The book's been out for a while, but the audiobook is now available on Audible. So you can use an Audible credit or just get it on Audible, the Audible app, whatever. That was a clip from the audiobook, I guess. I will be reading a chapter or two past the first chapter that my uncle so wonderfully read. Hello, by the way. If you're wondering why this is so incredibly produced, this is actually my set for Shufflemaster, which is another channel that I run, youtube.com/Shufflemaster, which you can go check out me opening Magic the Gathering and Pokemon cards. Just thought I'd put out my promotion for my stuff so that I could maybe get something out of this experience. I want to give a little background to this stream that's happening right now. The reason this is happening is because I got several calls from my uncle, who apparently believes that I still use an answering machine, and he left me a couple voicemails. So I'm gonna give you a little context to what's happening here. All right.
Hello, Arin. This is your uncle, Dr. Cecil H.H. Mills. I have a request to make of you that you may not refuse. I would like to promote my new audio book that is read by me and only me, Dr. Cecil H.H. Mills, publicly using your brand GameGrumps. Would you do this for me? Yes? The answer is yes. Please tell me when you plan to do this. Thank you.
So, I hadn't even checked my phone before I got this next one.
Hello, Arin. This is your uncle, Dr. Cecil H.H. Mills. I have not received word from you whether or not, rather, when you will be doing this promotion for my audio book, available now on Amazon. I am troubled by this. I wish to receive a reply from you. If you do not give me a reply, I will be forced to retaliate in some way. And you don't want to see that. Anyway, goodbye.
Anyway, about 3 minutes later, he sent me this one.
Arin, I know you're there. Where are you? Pick up the phone. I know your answering machine is playing this out loud in your home. And you are not answering. I find it very rude. Respond to my request. The request I'm speaking of is to promote my audiobook, now available on Audible. Where the hell are you?
5 minutes later.
He's just avoiding the issue. Arin, this is the last time I will be speaking to this infernal machine. Promote my book!
Oh, that's it. Okay, so before I could even listen to any of those, I got a call from my mom, and, you know, it was much more delicate than those. And she was like, hey, can you do a stream promoting his Audible? It's coming out now, and it would really make me happy. And I was like, yes, fine. I can't refuse my mom. So here we are, promoting my uncle, Dr. Cecil H.H. Mills' audiobook, now available on Audible. What's that? Wow. So amazing. So, I have the book right here. It's actually part of my set dressing, just because I figured I'd do him a favor. It's part of my Shuffle Master set dressing, so it's very convenient for me that I have it right here. And, oh, he signed my copy. Okay. That's very sweet. He just wrote, thanks for buying my book. He gave it to me. Cool. All right. Probably just picked out of the pile, I guess, and then he wrote Arin on the top. So if you remember from what we just listened to of my uncle reading, the boys had reached the chateau. They had met Wallace P. Gross, famous author, who mysteriously gave them a tour of the Grand Chateau, which was very strange, and they didn't understand why he was giving them, saying ballroom starts with the letter B and shit like that. And then his head exploded. So let's continue. Chapter 2, Deputy Park, Harborville Sheriff's Department. Deputy Park burst through the double doors of the Grand Chateau and immediately turned to close... I get it, Uncle. I'm not an audiobook guy. Bear with me. Deputy Park burst through the double doors of the Grand Chateau and immediately turned to close them against the roaring blizzard outside. Once he was satisfied that he'd bested the doors in fair and open combat, he kicked the snow off of his boots and brushed the icicles from the ends of his mustache. Unzipping his Harborville Sheriff's Department winter jacket, he marched up the long staircase at the end of the room where a large crowd of onlookers had gathered. Out of the way, Harborville Sheriff's Department, he shouted, parting through the sea of skiers and hotel patrons grouped shoulder to shoulder. Finally making his way to the front of the crowd, the deputy found the source of the commotion. Not you two again, Deputy Park groaned. Deputy Park, our friend, we meet again, said JJ. He and his brother were sitting in the doorway to the study, wiping their faces in clothes with Grande Chateau monogrammed towels. Madame Fournier appeared before the deputy. I'm not doing his terrible French accent. I'm just not. She says, Wait, you know these two? Who are you? Asked Park. I'm the hotelier of this establishment, and the one who telephoned you, she said. Deputy Park's eyes narrowed. What's a hotelier? I'm the hotel manager. Right, Deputy Park replied, straightening up. Well, it's a wonder your call made it through with the blizzard outside and all. He motioned to the brothers on the floor. And why is the Ghost Hunters Adventure Club here? Wherever they go, trouble follows. We follow the trouble, you dingus. JJ rolled his eyes. Oh, is that true? Said Park. Because every case I run into you two on goes belly up from the go. JJ shook his head. That's not true. What about the old abandoned mill? That wasn't our fault. The Harborville bank heist? Anyone could have mistaken that old lady for a bank robber. What about the counterfeiters of Pirates Cay? Hey, Valentine cut in. Didn't we save your life on that one? You did, Deputy Park grumbled. But I wouldn't have been tied up in that warehouse in the first place if it weren't for you two bumbling idiots. He folded his arms and kicked at the carpet. Still, though, Mrs. Park says to send you her regards and thanks. JJ couldn't help but smile to himself. Deputy Park readdressed Madame Fournier. Okay, I'm just gonna notice the autofocusing is on the book and not my face. Beautiful book cover. My uncle didn't draw it. Deputy Park readjusted Madame Fournier. So what have we got here? JJ shot his thumb behind him towards the study. Dead rider, he said. Deputy Park turned back to JJ, shocked. Sweet hollandaise, boys. What have you gotten yourselves into? I called you as soon as I heard the gunshot, Madame Fournier said. I found these two young gentlemen in the corner screaming when I arrived. Deputy Park surveyed the scene. In front of him was indeed a dead rider with an exploded head. At the opposite end of the room was a shattered window. Snow was starting to cover the mahogany desk in the center of the room. So what happened here? Valentine answered. After the guy talked to us for a while, he took us back to his study, then we heard a gunshot, saw his head explode, and then the glass over there shattered. Did you get eyes on the shooter? Asked Deputy. Sorry, said JJ. There was a foreign substance in our eyes that prevented us from utilizing the gift of sight. What was that? Rider blood, said Valentine. Park surveyed the scene once more, brushing his mustache with his fingers in deep thought. I've solved the mystery, he exclaimed. Wait, really? Asked Valentine, genuinely perplexed. Sure I have, he said, pointing towards the crime scene. The broken window suggests that the bullet came from outside, ending the life of our dear writer friend here. He stepped over the body and walked to the window where the blizzard roared in full force. Our killer ran away from the scene of the crime and into worsening snow conditions where he'll no doubt freeze to death and die. I'll have Harborville Sheriff's Department roll out here with their ice picks to excavate the perp sickle. The perp sickle. Gotta love my uncle. Avenging the death of Charles Bukildsky over here. All right. The crowd stood in silence. When no one objected, Park marched to the front of the room. Well, just got to call this one over to headquarters so we can get a slab van to pick up Haruki murdered Kami. Okay. We'll all be out of here in time for dinner. He spoke a few words into his walkie-talkie and waited for a response. Nothing. He tried again only to hear static. Right, said Park. New plan. Apparently the blizzard conditions that no doubt froze our mystery murderer have cut off radio communication with the outside world. Which also means that the mountain roads once used to reach this chateau are now rendered inoperable. Looks like we're all stuck here until the roads are clear. A shocked gasp ran through the crowd. Ah, come on, said Park. We all get to spend the weekend in a snowy mountain resort together, and there's only one dead body here, which you'll all barely have to see. The killer's long gone. We don't know that, JJ shook his head. "The killer could be in here right now." "Young man, I will karate chop you in the throat," Deputy Park warned. "In any case, the halls will be patrolled by myself, Deputy Jihoon Park of the Harborville Sheriff's Department." He made a sweeping gesture to the crowd. "No one gets killed on my watch." The crowd of hotel patrons erupted in chaos and accusatory questions directed toward Deputy Park of the Harborville Sheriff's Department. Madame Fournier jumped between him and the growing mob, trying to defuse the situation. "Please," she pleaded. I did Deputy Park's voice for Madame Fournier. "Please," she pleaded. "I know everyone here is upset. It goes without saying that all of your rooms will be complimentary for the duration of the blizzard." The idea of free hotel rooms quieted the crowd down a bit. A woman with short hair stepped out of the throng. Valentine recognized her as the bartender who was serving drinks when they entered the chateau earlier. "Plus, we'll have more complimentary wine after dinner," she said in a thick Bostonian accent. Okay, let me do that again. What's a Bostonian? Hey, what are you doing over? What is that, New York? Shit. A clam chowder. "Plus, we'll have more complimentary wine after dinner," she said in a thick Bostonian accent. Everyone in the crowd shrugged, and Madame Fournier breathed a sigh of relief. "Now wait just a second," yelled JJ, jumping in to join the crowd. "My name is JJ Watts, and the man still picking writer brain out of his ears is my brother and indispensable ally, Mr. Valentine Watts. Together we form the entity of Ghost Hunters Adventure Club, Harborville's best and arguably only ghost hunting and crime-solving organization." "Here we go," groaned Deputy Park. "At the time of his death, my brother and I were in the employ of Mr. Wallace P. Gross, and we will continue to honor his employment request until his killer is brought to justice. And because of this, I will not rest." He turned his attention to Madame Fournier. "Until my brother and I are upgraded to a 2-bed suite with meals included." Madame Fournier sighed. "Fine. I'd like my room upgraded as well," said a voice. Everyone turned to see that it was the man with the sunglasses and ponytail from earlier. Oh, I did like a kind of girly voice for that. "I'd like my room upgraded as well," said a voice. There you go. "No," said the hotelier. He shrugged. Worth a shot. Madame Fournier began funneling the crowd out of the hallway and back down to the stairs. "Please, everyone, give us some space to clean up a little. I'll have our groundskeeper see what we can do to tidy up here. You all go enjoy a drink in the lounge downstairs." JJ and Valentine joined the crowd in their march, avoiding further questioning from Deputy Park. On the way down, they spotted the groundskeeper walking the opposite direction down the stairs. He did, in fact, stand a head taller than everyone else. So that was chapter 2. It's not bad. I'm sad to say. I've read a couple, obviously I've read a little bit of his work. I Loved Infinity is pedantic. And what was the one? The one about the lion? I forget what the ignoble beast. That one was also really hard to read. But this is actually, it seems like he's actually writing for a young adult, which is smart, I think. Not to give my shitty uncle credit or anything, but I am promoting his work right now, so why not? Chinchilla Zord, thank you for that super chat. Hope you're well. I just subbed to you, Mr. Shufflemaster. Thank you. Dat Samage said, "Buy my book." Yeah. That is what he says. Toothy Elmo says, "Reading along with my copy." Oh, that's actually really sweet. I hope my uncle can see that. Real Faction, Piercing Laser. Arin, I want to be a writer, but I've heard many people don't do well with self-publishing. Any advice on what makes a good book and how to get it out there? I honestly don't know. Writing is not my strong suit, particularly like novels. I've written scripts before, but I've never written a novel before, so I don't really know. I think you should probably find a publisher. I mean, we went through Permuted Press for this. I mean, we helped my uncle publish this book because my mom really wanted me to help. So Permuted Press is who we went through. So that's a publisher. We didn't self-publish. Simon the White. I bought my signed copy yesterday and can't wait until it arrives. Hell yeah. Bailey XOXO. Hey Arin, I'm reading along. This is amazing. Can't believe this stuff is free. I guess this is free. The audiobook is available on Audible, which I guess is free if you use your credit. So go check that out. Nafis Sadat, big preach to all that you do. Love you at GameGrumps. Thank you, Nafis. And also, I hope you enjoyed that cameo. Caleb Fry, thank you. Bryce Amos, love it, here to help. Thank you, man. Big Piggy 87, since it's on Audible, I can now read it during work hours. Bought it on Audible now, but I'm sending this super chat because I want to further support your uncle in his effort. Love you guys. Unfortunately, or rather fortunately, the money in the super chats does not go towards my uncle. It goes towards GameGrumps. So he will not see a dime of this. If you are donating to donate to Cecil, just get his Audible. None of this money's going to him. I'm already doing him enough of a favor. Sleep Queen Isabella says, Yas, Arin, killing it. Chinchilla Zord says, hope you're well, Arin. I just subbed. Oh, I already got that one. Thank you. Great. I'm not sure how much he wanted me to read of his book. How far? That's not much. How big is the next chapter? I haven't actually read this book at all. Okay, that's pretty short. I'll read chapter 3. Okay. Chapter 3, The Bookcase. The real mystery we should be solving is how they got these towels to be so soft, said JJ, rolling up and stuffing as many Grande Chateau monogram towels into his satchel as he could. They were in their promised two-bed suite, an all-oak affair adorned in vaguely rustic knickknacks and landscape paintings of the mountain. Valentine peered out the window, which would have looked out down into the mountain road that led them here, were it not for the howling gale outside. We gotta be careful on the way out, said JJ. I gave the front desk lady a fake credit card for incidentals, but she's a sharp one. I didn't help by making the last 4 digits 6969. Nice. I can appreciate that joke. He looked over at Valentine, whose mind seemed to be lost in the snow outside. What's the matter? You used to love playing steal the hotel amenities. Do you think Park was right? Asked Valentine. I wouldn't trust his opinion on what to get for breakfast, let alone what he thinks about a murder investigation, said JJ. He belly flopped onto the bed and wrapped himself in high thread count sheets. But that doesn't matter now. What do you mean? Asked Valentine. I mean that our bankroll had his head exploded. There's no payout for us other than free room and board and whatever you and I can carry out of here undetected. Come on, JJ, you have to at least be a little curious about what's going on here. Oh, sure, I'm curious. I'm curious about how the upper crust lives. I'm curious to know a weekend without want or need. I'm curious to see if there are any loose gems or precious stones that can be pried and pocketed for later sale. He got up to examine a painting on the wall, noting that it was held in place by a security latch. I am not, however, curious about who shot Wallace P. Gross from a sniper's position in a snowy tundra. Well, that's the thing, said Valentine, turning his attention away from the snow. I'm not so sure where the shot came from. He sat on the edge of his own bed. Try to remember back when the head exploded. We even told it to Deputy Park. We heard the shot, the head exploded, we got Rider blood in our eyes, then we heard the glass shatter. If the shot came from outside, we would have heard the glass shatter first. All right, Sherlock, if the shot didn't come from outside, then where did it come from? I don't know, said Valentine, pointing to his eyes. Rider blood. Case closed, then. We got to go back to a pampered weekend and a snowy mountain escape. Valentine furrowed his brow. If I could just get back to the scene of the crime, I could find out for sure. This isn't going to get out of your head, is it? Asked JJ. No, and I won't stop talking about it, effectively ruining your weekend plans. All right, JJ sighed. If we can sneak in there tonight and look around, will you let me enjoy the rest of the weekend? I'll even help you strip some copper wire out of the walls. Then it's settled, said JJ. The Ghost Hunters Adventure Club is back on the case, if only for tonight. The two did their secret handshake to seal the deal. The boys waited in... All right. Never actually done an audiobook in my life. I've auditioned for a bunch and never got the part, so I understand how difficult this is. The boys waited until midnight before they left the room with JJ's trusted lockpick set. By the time they assumed Deputy Park would be done with his rounds, and they made their way from their room, down the elevator, and over into Wallace's study unperturbed. JJ knelt on the floor and unfurled his kit while Valentine kept watch at the end of the hall. Selecting the right tensioner and scraping tool was an art that JJ had long ago mastered. He inserted the tools, ready to work. The door creaked open. "Right," said JJ. "Another lock successfully picked." Valentine abandoned his lookout post and joined JJ where they opened the door and entered with caution, cringing at the squeak of the door as it continued to alert everyone in the hotel to their whereabouts. The body of Wallace P. Gross was missing. The boys stood there for a moment trying to deduce what had happened. "Guess they must have moved him," Valentine concluded. "Unless he wasn't even dead in the first place, and his headless body now roams these hallways searching for a new head." Valentine shot a glance at his brother. "I mean, what if?" asked JJ. They stepped over the bloody spot where Wallace's body had been and stood in the center of the room. It was covered in a layer of snow thanks to the broken window at the opposite end of the study. "All right, Inspector Hates Fun," said JJ. "Work your magic." Valentine went to the window and examined the shards of glass at the bottom of the frame. "See, I was right." Valentine pointed to the floor beneath the window pane. "If the shot had come from outside, there would have been glass fragments on this side of the window. Instead, it must have been shattered from inside while you and I were blinded by writer blood." "But why would they do that?" "Maybe to throw us off the trail, to make us think the killer went off and died in a snowstorm. Maybe to make us not wonder if the kill came from inside the house." JJ was shivering from the cold. "Look around. We're in a tiny writer's study. Where else could the shot have come from?" Valentine adjusted his glasses, examining the room. He walked over to the large oak desk that stood as the centerpiece of the room. "That's odd," he said. "What?" Valentine brushed away the layer of snow that covered the desk, revealing a stack of books next to Wallace's typewriter, and read aloud. "Harborville, a tourist's guide, an oral history of Grand Mountain, advanced spelunking techniques." Was this research material for Wallace's book? JJ walked over to the desk and opened the drawers. "You ever know a writer type to break a lock and then empty out his drawers?" he asked. "Why?" "Because these locks are broken, and it looks like the drawers have been emptied. Wouldn't Wallace have kept his manuscript here?" "Guess so," replied Valentine. JJ had a thought. He went over to the blood spot on the floor and faced his brother. "Val, if you and I got covered in writer blood, then that means his head must have exploded towards us. That means that the bullet must have struck Wallace from behind." JJ turned around and examined the wall by the entrance to the study, feeling over the wallpaper with his fingers. "There!" he exclaimed, before remembering that someone might hear him. "This is where the bullet is lodged." He pointed to a small hole near the frame of the door. "Almost went through one of us. The bullet flew between our heads before we got brain bits in our eyes." JJ stood by the bullet hole and turned around. Closing one eye and pointing with a finger, he traced the trajectory of the bullet. "It looks like the shot came from that bookshelf over there?" Valentine turned to examine the floor-to-ceiling oak bookshelf filled to the breaking point with leather-bound volumes. "What does that mean?" "It means we caught the culprit. Cuff him, Val. This bookcase will never kill again." "If what you're saying is true, then there must be something behind this bookcase. Come on and help me." "With what?" "Pull on books. One might open this thing." "You've got to be kidding me. That only happens in movies," said JJ as he pulled on a book that caught a latch and caused the entire bookcase to swing open on a hinge. He shrugged. "I stand corrected." Valentine inspected the bookcase and the darkened pathway behind it. "I wonder where it goes." "Me too. Well, shame that the mystery of the hidden passageway will never get solved. Come on, Val, let's pack it up." "What do you mean? We found where the killer took the shot. We gotta go investigate." JJ massaged the scar across his nose. "Not happening, bud. I've played unpaid detective for long enough. And to be truthful with you, I don't even think an honest salary would get me to go down the hallway." "I'm going whether you're coming or not," said Valentine. "Feel free to hang out alone in this spooky study with the bloodstain." Fine, said JJ. "But if this turns out to be a ghost with a gun, I'll never forgive you." Val led JJ past the bookcase and into a stone passageway, barely large enough for them to sidle through. Moisture from the air had frosted onto the stones around them. They could see their breath. "I think I got a cobweb in my mouth," said JJ. "This passageway must run through the building," said Valentine, "or maybe it leads to another exit on the other side of the chateau, but why was it built?" Wallace did say this building was constructed over 100 years ago. Maybe it was from the opium. Maybe it was for the opium, said JJ, running into more spiderwebs. The boys continued down the passageway, traversing over cracked stone and rotten woodwork. They could hear faint voices above and around them. The passageway split into different directions just ahead. "Which way do we go?" asked JJ. "I guess we follow the sounds of the voices." JJ sighed. Ahead of them, a slat at the top of the passageway cast a beam of light through the dust. "That's where it's coming from," said Valentine. "Give me a boost." JJ cupped his hands for Valentine to put his foot into and lifted him up. "It's a grate, I think," said Valentine. He peered through the slat to see that he was looking into the ballroom Wallace had shown them on the tour. In the center of the room were two figures. Peering closer, he made out Wallace's ex-wife and the ponytailed man with the sunglasses. "What's happening?" asked JJ, struggling to keep Valentine aloft. "Shh! Marcella P. Gross and the ponytail guy seem to be mad about something." Valentine listened intently. The ponytail man was pacing around the room, his arms gesticulating wildly. Marcella was sitting on a chair by a banquet table, coldly smoking a cigarette indoors. She took a long drag and puffed it in his direction. "People have been suspicious of us," she said. "They've always been suspicious of us." "Will you just keep a level head?" Ponytail said, sweating profusely. "If you and me just keep quiet and lay low, we'll get through this just fine." "Something juicy's happening," Valentine whispered down to JJ. "I'm losing feeling in my fingers," JJ replied. Valentine turned his attention back to the conversation happening in the ballroom. "Let's make sure we're not seen together for the rest of our stay here," Ponytail said. "That should be enough to throw the people off the scent." "What do you want me to do then?" asked Marcella. "Should I go into open mourning for my ex-husband?" She put out her cigarette directly on the table. "Maybe wear more black than you usually do. That couldn't hurt." Valentine looked down again at JJ. "I think these two might have had something to do with Wallace's murder," JJ grunted. "I'm dying down here. Just a couple more seconds. We might find out something more useful." Just then, JJ heard the telltale squeak of the door to Wallace P. Gross's office. "Someone's coming!" Ponytail snapped to attention. "What was that?" "Uh-oh," said Valentine. "JJ, be quiet." Instead of replying, JJ's grip broke and Valentine came tumbling down in a loud thud that echoed down the passageway. "Hey, who was that?" came the voice of the man from the ballroom. Valentine got up off of JJ and dusted himself off. "What the hell?" he whispered. "We were about to solve the mystery." "We gotta go," said JJ. "Come on." JJ led them back down the dark hallway, shimmying as fast as they could and ignoring whatever spiderwebs got into their mouths. A hand reached out of the darkness and struck JJ directly on the nose, sending him flying backward into Valentine. "Ow!" JJ looked up to find the young woman from the front desk earlier today. She looked scared, ready to strike again. I thought this was a short chapter. Hold on. Okay, that's okay. "What are you doing here?" she demanded. "Why did you hit me on the nose?" JJ demanded back. "What are you doing here?" also demanded Valentine. The woman lowered her fists. I started wondering about the murder because the deputy's assessment didn't add up. I came to the study and found that the bookcase was open, so I walked in and found you guys here." "It didn't add up for us either," said Valentine. "The glass was shattered from inside the room, so the bullet didn't come from the outside." "That's what I thought. You said you saw his head explode, and then you heard the glass shatter. That's the same deduction we came to." "Look, everyone," interrupted JJ. "I'm really glad we're all bonding over fine detective work, but we just made a lot of noise and, I think, made some hotel patrons aware of our existence back there. We should probably make ourselves scarce." JJ sidled past them toward the study, stopped, then turned to the woman. "Also, we're still not cool, you and me." They arrived at the study, closed the bookcase, and headed towards the hallway, closing the large, dark double doors behind them. "Great," JJ pinched his nose to stem the flow of blood. "Now we just get back to our rooms, shut the door, and put this horror show of a day to bed. Hey, if anyone's out there, you should know..." Oh, it's Deputy Park. "Hey, if anyone's out there, you should know I have a gun and I'm trained in the art of shooting it." "That's Deputy Park," Valentine hissed, Down the long end of the hallway, a shadow rounded the corner. "We have to hide!" "Follow me," said the front desk clerk. She dashed forward and led them down the grand staircase. She dove under the reception desk in the lobby, and the boys followed close behind. A moment later, a beam of light shone over the desk. "We're still not cool," JJ gasped, trying to catch his breath. "And you're certain you heard a commotion come from over here?" came a voice they recognized as Deputy Parks. "Clear as day," said another. That sounds like Ponytail. "Clear as day," said another. "That sounds like Ponytail Guy," whispered Valentine. "You mean Mr. Newbury?" said the young woman. "Will you two please quiet down before we get caught?" JJ hissed. "Hey, killer," Deputy Park called. "If you're here, please come out with your hands up. It's far too spooky right now to be searching every nook and cranny for you." After a few moments of silence, the flashlight sweeps stopped. "Well, sorry, bud, no killers here," Deputy Park concluded. "Might be ghosts, but that's well above my pay grade. Anything spiritually paranormal is something I guarantee you I don't handle well." The trio waited until long after the footsteps faded off into the distance before they made their way to the elevator. When it reached their floor, JJ pointed at the young woman. "Forget our faces." He and Valentine walked to the safety of their own room. Valentine closed the door behind them. "That was far too close," said JJ, wrapping himself up in his blanket. "There's no way you're ever getting me to do something like that again. Don't you care at all with the real killers still on the loose? And what sort of shady deal was going on with Marcella and... what's his name, the Newbury fellow? Please, Valentine, do us a favor and just shut your brain off for a minute. It's been a long day, and I'm eager to solve the mystery of what it's like to getting 8 hours of sleep." "Wait," said Valentine, "why didn't the study door squeak when we closed it?" End of chapter 3. All right, I admit it. It's kind of gripping. Fine. I'm not going to tell him, though. And I know he's not going to watch this. Because I don't even think he has the internet, to be perfectly honest with you. Although I could see him being the kind of guy who, like, once he discovers the internet, he just reads, like, every comment and starts replying to them. So, yeah, it's good, all right? Go check out the Audible book. It's read by him, Dr. Cecil H.H. Mills, my fucking uncle. So, enjoy that. Wow, we got a lot of super chats. Holy frick. Okay. Masochistic narcissist. Who made the book cover? I'm in love with Thelma on the front. Also love your reading and character voice. Thank you for that. The cover art was done by Paul Mann. M-A-N-N. Thank you. Thank you. It's the first audiobook I've ever done, so... I mean, not really. I'm just reading a book, but... thank you. It's interesting. It's an interesting situation. You know, you have to, like, characterize the characters and stuff, and you have to, like, read the situation. It's interesting. Dat Sandwich again. Excuse me, Arin of the GameGrumps. Do you think Cecil will require more artwork for future books? I don't know. I don't know if he's writing a second one. He's kind of hinted to me that he might be in the very limited interactions that I have with him. So we'll see. Fiona Bull. I've already read the book, loved it, 10 out of 10. Well, that's good. So I will send you this and go to sleep to you reading. Thank you, dude. Thank you, Fiona. I appreciate that. I'm glad you liked the book. I gotta say, I'm actually kind of interested in it, so maybe I'll give it a read eventually. Gravy Tunes. Thank you, Arin, for doing what you do. Game Grumps always puts a smile on my face and a boner in my pants. Okay, stay cool. Thank you, Gravy. London C. Wow, thank you for that super chat. That's huge. One more chapter, Big Cat. Plus, I'll buy the hard copy to support your rad uncle. It's not rad. One more chapter. Oh man, what do we got? Okay, chapter 4. Ooh, this one's pretty long. I'll think about it when I read these super chats. How about that? Katana Wilcox. Hope things are okay during the Backstreet Boys tour. Love you, Arin. Love you too, Katana. Thank you. Serial Dust. Arin, you're awesome. Still enjoy your hard work. You are the reason I still draw and do creative work. Love you guys at the Grumps. Thank you, Serial Dust. I appreciate that. That's very sweet. Leak Blade. Wait, you're telling me we're listening to Arin read this when we could literally get the audiobook on Audible right now, and it's read by Dr. Cecil H.H. Mills himself. What are you waiting for? So you paid us $10 in order to do an ad for the book that we're promoting right now. I appreciate that. That's wonderful. That's beautiful. I can't argue with that. So thank you. That's very sweet of you to do. One more chapter. Everyone's saying one more chapter. Oh man. I'm just reading the chat right now. I just kind of got enthralled. One more chapter, please. I don't usually like hearing other people read, but this is relaxing. Wow. Boston accent was spot on, says Dr. Benda. 200 supervisors makes it a boss ton. That's funny. I don't know. I don't want to like give away the whole book. How about this? This is the lamest cop-out ever. You can read the rest of the book by getting it on Audible. Ghost Hunters Adventure Club and The Secret of the Grand Chateau. Available on Audible right now. Narrated by my... Oh, man, Adam. Just... Adam is all you need. Says one more chapter on Super Chats. You're gonna keep saying that. That's all that's going through my head right now is that I'm gonna read one more chapter and then y'all are gonna be like, one more, and it's just gonna be like, dude, I can't, my throat is already ripping me up. I'm out of water. It's tough, yo. Since Arin said the chat, it got faster. That's funny. I don't know, man. No, you got to go check out the Audible. That's all I'm saying. You got three whole chapters of the book. How many chapters are in this book? There's 21 chapters. So you got more than a tenth of the book just for free on this stream. Go check it out. Go check out the Audible. It's available now. That's all I'm saying. I got stuff I got to do today. I already did enough for my uncle, so I hope he appreciates it. I'm gonna call my mom to tell him that I did the deed and everything's fine and we're done. And I don't want to hear any more about it. I'm sick of him. I'm sick of him fucking doing this to me. All right, how about this? I'll stick around for a little bit. I'm going to go get some water. So I'll stick around for a little bit, and if there are any more super chats, which I see there are, I'll go through those, and then we'll call it. All right, how about that? All right, let's go to a little intermission. I'll be right back. I'm just going to get some water. Mwah! Okay. So, I'm back. Hello, everybody. So apparently while I was reading, I got a call from my uncle, and he left me another voicemail. So, he's very upset.
Arin, this is your uncle, Dr. Cecil H.H. Mills. Your mother notifies me that you are currently reading my entire book live on television. Please stop this. We are trying to promote the Audible release of my narration of the book, and how do you expect us to sell any of these copies when you're reading the entire goddamn book? Stop this right now.
You heard it from the horse's mouth, everybody. I thought I blocked his number. So I'm not going to be reading any more of the book as not to summon the ire of my already ire-filled uncle. But you can get it. I think we have it up in our store right now, GameGrumps.com/merch. And if we don't, then it's available on Amazon. And then we also have the Audible version on Amazon as well. If you want to finish the book, we got some super chats. Holy shit. Wow. Tat Sandwich says, get this man some dang water. That's what I did. Thank you so much for that. Michael Andrews says, you're my favorite internet person ever, Aaron. I've seen every episode of Game Grumps. Wow. Even Cell Damage? I hope someday you'll play Bubber Knuckles on your show. I have no idea what that is. What is Bubber Knuckles? You got it, buddy. Dejanelle Grimes. I'm late to the party, but when are we getting liquid grumps? Some nice warm lickgra with a good book to end the day, please. You know, it might not be too far off. Let's just say that. Toothy Elmo, thank you so much, Aaron. Game Grumps is the most calming part of my day. Thanks, Toothy Elmo. Very sweet. Dat Sandwich, once again, wanted to make a sec to say thanks for being a huge inspiration in my journey to making my artistic career happen. Thank you, Dat Sandwich. I appreciate that. Dana Wilson, I don't know what to say. You must know we all love the hell out of you. You make my days awesome, especially when I have bad days in the ambulance. Oh, my God, I'm so sorry. Love you. Love you too, Dana. Thank you for that. L. Lawliet, you should read the whole book in protest of your uncle. Look, I mean, it's no secret that Game Grumps helped produce the book, so it behooves us too if the book sells. Most of it goes to my uncle, which I hate. I mean, he did write it, so I guess if I'm to be believed that I support artists in what I do, then I should support my uncle too, because he is technically an artist. Totally not Marlin. Good job, Arnold. Love Obama. What? Akana175, thank you for everything you and Dan do. Thank you, man. Appreciate that. Arsenic Jess, enjoy your water and make good choices. What are some of your favorite books? Favorite books? What are my favorite books? K-Pax. Man, what are my favorite books? I don't fucking know. Anything that's just, that helps you, that betters you as a human being. I'm not huge into fiction lately. I like a lot of nonfiction. So I like editorial type stuff, journalistic stuff. You know, obviously I read all of Malcolm Gladwell. I know it's sort of divisive, but I find his writing to be super easy to read. I don't know. I'd have to check my list. I have a little chalkboard at home that I write all the books that I'm reading on it, and then I like dash them out and right when I finished it and stuff. So I gotta take a look at that. Will Dr. Cecil H.H. Mills be on Guest Grumps? No. I don't want him here. Please don't make me do that. I don't want him here. I don't like him. He's a bad boy. All right. In the future. Consume Prilosec. Consume Prilosec. It'll bring you joy. Congrats on beating Majora's Mask. Thank you. When is your uncle going to be featured in Soviet Jump Game? Never. Never! Hey Aaron, when will you be doing a restock of the PJ Pants? Pretty soon, I think. I think we were planning on doing a restock. Speaking of your family, how's Jim Jamboree? He's off on a farm somewhere. I don't know what's going on with Jimmy. Like, don't ask me about Jimmy. I don't know anything about Jimmy Jamboree. I really wish. Whatever. I'll. It sort of breaks the narrative, so I'm not gonna say that. But maybe someday we'll get a visit from Jimmy Jamboree on stream. Maybe someday we will. All right. This is sort of impromptu, so I don't know where to go from here. I'm just sort of killing time at this point and just talking to chat. So I guess I'll leave it at that. Go check out Ghost Hunters Adventure Club and the Secret of the Grand Chateau. You can get the hardcover version on our web store, I believe. We might be sold out, actually. But we have some copies signed by my uncle. Either they're available now or they're going to be available soon. All I know is that he's started signing them like a month ago, and he's still signing them. He's really slow. And we're celebrating the Ghost Hunters Adventure Club audiobook. It's on Amazon, right? Or Audible. It's on Amazon Audible right now. So go check that out. Thanks, everyone. I think that you're wonderful and beautiful, and this was fun. As much as I hate my uncle, this was fun. It's always fun to be able to chat with y'all. So thank you for coming to this. I'm going to go pass out. Have a good one. Okay. I didn't add an ending screen to my. Hold on, I can do that right now. Hold on, I can do that right now. Well, there's nothing. And there it is. Thanks for watching, everybody. Bye.